Hello, I'm Fantastic and today I'm going to be talking about the 7-star Godfest exclusive Great Witch Medal Exchange event that is going on right now. So, for all players who log into PAD from April 5th, aka today, until April 31st, will receive a special Great Witch exchangeable medal. This medal can be monster exchanged for one of the 10 Great Witches, which means that all players can receive a 7-star Godfest exclusive of their choice. You don't have to rely on community-based voting, you don't have to rely on pulling an egg machine at random, you can get exactly what you want. And to me, this is tremendously exciting because I don't own every single Great Witch out there, I'm missing quite a few. And because of that, I'm able to pick something that I do not own to plug a theoretical hole in my monster box. So, as a general blanket statement, you should be trying to exchange for cards you don't already currently own, because usually a brand new card will open up new doors and possibilities as opposed to a duplicate of an existing card. That's not to say that some cards have low value in dupes, it's just that a brand new card might open up more doors for yourself overall. And because we are given 10 different possible choices, I would like to take this time to go over each and every one of them individually to give you a better idea of how they're currently used at this point in time to help my viewers make a more informed decision as to which card may be the best for their individual monster box. At the same time, we do have a modest period of time to monster exchange, and if you are planning to roll up any of the upcoming Super Godfests, which do happen on a regular basis, it may possibly have some merits to wait off exchanging, because you can wait towards the end, because if you say pull XYZ card who you just traded for, you may be a little less happy. But otherwise, let's take a look at the cards one by one. So, the first Great Witch is Madu, and Madu's best form currently now is her Weapon Assist, and even at that is kind of underwhelming. The Weapon Assist gives you a nice team health, bind immunity, 4 rows, and it does have a 2-turn delay component. And in theory, you can abuse that 2-turn delay to provide additional effective skill boost. The rows help you with mowing down through mass attack the spawns in World of Carnage 2. And for myself, I actually used this Weapon Assist a modest amount when World of Carnage 2 first came out and I was utilizing Gillian teams, because health is such an important currency for Gillian, because having more health means more effective health because of the way the damage reduction works. Either way, it does serve a purpose. It protects Gillian from being bound, and in theory you could utilize the delay to give more effective skill boosts. At the same time, we've been giving many more options for full bind immunity. Back then, there were less things possible, and now with the Chinese Celestial Earrings, such as Leyland's Weapon Assist, you get full bind immunity and a single skill boost, so it's a bit more flexible in those regards. You only get the effective skill boost if you can use the delay, but if you're going to be using a delay, you have stronger options. You have red shelling for it, and you have Sara, which is Echidna, like the red 7-star Echidna Godfest exclusive. Either one of those are stronger delay options. So Madu's hat at this point in time does not fulfill any particular niche better than another card, and as a result, I am not truly inspired by this card, and I would not be pursuing it unless you had all the other ones, and even then, I still think it's quite underwhelming. For Reeche, in their evolved form, they can function as a reasonable rainbow sub. They have triple skill charge, which means their 25-turn cooldown is much more manageable, and this cooldown, or this active skill, provides you with 2 turns of color and damage absorb void, which are both essentially mandatory in endgame content. You're going to need at least one of those components when you play through something difficult, and having a relatively fast and accessible counter to it is definitely helpful. The problem is their sub potential is outpaced by other cards who fulfill a similar role. For instance, if you have New Year's Reach or Zinogre, both of these cards have multi-skill charges who have the damage and color absorb tied into their board changer active skill, and both of these cards fulfill this role significantly better. Like, there is no point in running Reeche, relatively speaking, if you have New Year's Reach or Zinogre by comparison. And at the same time, their awakenings are kind of a little wasted. The 777 combo technically doesn't help, or 777 combo doesn't really help, because their personal damage is going to be so low. They're not going to be contributing damage, which in turn means those awakenings are kind of wasted. So, like, they can still work as a rainbow sub, but they're definitely outpaced by other options. And their weapon resist does provide bind immunity, TPA, and skill bind resist. So maybe there will be an instance where you need to have all those components, but I think it's pretty hard. You're threading a pretty fine needle through a very small hole to really make all of these truly line up. So yes, you could abuse the fact that it has a long base cooldown so it doesn't accidentally overcharge, but in that same breath, you can't rely on the active skill to be your damage and your damage absorb and color absorb counter because it will take too long to charge up. So more so, the fact is Reeche is just outpaced by other options currently available. For Zela, Zela in her base form can be a reasonable option for Void solutions because she does have a VDP, she does have triple combo, so she could technically be utilized as a Void solution for mono wood teams. Her active skill gives you a bicolor board changer with hearts that also has 75% damage reduction. So you think, wow, I'm doing quite a few different things, and it could be possibly meaningful. But the problem with Zela is she's outpaced by other options currently available. Let's look at each of the two components she brings. She brings a damage reduction for shielding, and she also brings you a VDP potential. So for VDP potential, she is outpaced by Albert, Farmable Durand. Even just utilizing Aljae as a sub instead will be a better solution because Zela doesn't have the greatest attack stat. It's kind of low. And if you think about it, it's only 777 combo and a VDP. Still 20 times personal damage, but with this low base attack, not going to be contributing that much. By comparison, Albert, basically as soon as you match a VDP, he's going to essentially damage cap with relative ease. Durand hits much higher damage because you mix in your 7-10 combo and the VDP's much higher output. So Zela is outpaced as a Void solution. She doesn't provide an exceptional number of skill boosts either, so she's not outpacing them. Like Albert doesn't have skill boosts, but Albert provides much more value on a regular basis. And then if you think, well, I want the damage reduction component, which does provide value, but at the same time, I feel like Susanoo kind of has a monopoly on mono wood shielding solutions. He's just so efficient at it. He gives you super blind resist, more skill boost, a 3-turn shield that gives you haste as well. He has respectable personal damage or significant personal damage against dragon and devil spawns, and with his VDP Super Awakening against devil and dragon spawns, which are the most common and dangerous in World of Carnage 2 where shielding is needed, Susanoo shines so bright. Like there's no reason to use Zela over Susanoo, I feel, in the majority of situations. So in summary, if you have Susanoo, which is a low rarity Pantheon card, you have the farmable Durand, there's no true need to actually run Zela, and as a result, I feel like it's not worth pursuing. Her weapon does provide Rose and the team health and the bind immunity, kind of similar idea to what Madu's hat did, but it's not really needed. Mono wood with Nadeko tends to smash so hard anyways that the Rose are probably not needed. Next is Saline, and Saline's main appeal is being able to grant 1.8 times rank experience. And there's only 2 cards in North America that can do this. So you're obviously tremendously unique in that regards. So the idea with rank experience boosting leaders is that if you enter a dungeon with them, you clear it, you receive significantly more rank experience, which in turn means you can rank up faster. So you might think, wow, ranking up is the best thing ever. And in any other game, that's probably true. But in Pad has this weird relationship with the more you rank up, the worse it kind of becomes. And that's because the experience curve is it's an exponential graph that goes up and up and up. Like it becomes outrageously hard to rank up when you hit like past like 920. If you go into like the high 900s and thousands, you need hundreds of millions of rank experience. And you're not going to rank up unless you're dedicating yourself to playing like Shura 1 or World of Carnage Alt World of Carnage 2. Basically the dungeons that give gargantuan amounts of rank experience because you'll never rank up otherwise. But at the same time, if you're like, say, like rank 700, 800, 500, 600, whatever, you can chain your rank up with relative ease. It's going to be quite easy to keep ranking up. And when you do rank up, you fully restore your stamina, which means you can keep playing. Now, I'm well aware of the fact that stamina has become much more accessible compared to the past. We have 3 minutes per stamina refill instead of 10, so 3 times more stamina plus there. We also can watch an ad to give ourselves a stamina refill, so doubling your effective stamina for the day, plus the faster stamina refill means there's a lot of stamina to play with. But at the same time, I feel like ranking up is still an important aspect of the game. You want to time your rank ups to fully restore your stamina because any stamina not used is wasted. And if you rank up multiple times in a single dungeon, every single rank up wastes stamina. Now, it all depends on how much you play on a regular basis. If you're playing and maximize your stamina on a daily basis, blindly chasing rank ups is not a good idea, because wasting those early rank ups is problematic, because there will be events where you need to play over and over again, and if you don't have to spend magic stones to refill your stamina, life is much nicer. So for myself, I prefer to use my Salines for like targeted rank experience bonuses. When I need to have a boost in rank experience, I'll use it to rank up, to chain that stamina refill to keep playing. So that's just my own personal approach to rank experience. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the best approach, because many other people enjoy having these big rank numbers. They like seeing that big number. It's a personal achievement to them, so it is meaningful. But then again, for those players who love that rank farming aspect of the game, there's a good chance you probably already had Saline, so some of this suggestions is kind of moot. So while it is powerful, I don't think it's necessarily something you need to have just because of the penalties, so to speak, associated with being higher ranked. Like for myself, I will never rank up unless I play World of Carnage 1 or Alt World of Carnage 2. I just will not rank up otherwise, which is kind of sad because I'm just not going to gain ranks or get those sweet stamina refills. So Saline is definitely powerful and unique in what she does, but I honestly feel like blindly farming rank experience is a double-edged sword. Next, we come to Varroa, and Varroa's main appeal is the fact that she boosts egg drop rate when used in solo mode. So the idea is that with 2 Varroas as leaders, you can play the easier difficulties of event medal farming dungeons. Basically, the idea is you enter these dungeons, you play the easier difficulty to save stamina and possibly button the floors because they have less health, and then you get a drop ideally on every single floor, which in turn means you can monster exchange for the tickets, whatever you need. It just becomes a faster, more efficient experience. So, basically the idea is you want to load up on Dungeon Boost Awakenings, you want to use double Varroa, and ideally it's something you can button or clear with relatively little effort. This has merits because it saves you time, but the thing is, it only works in solo mode, and at the same time, not every event is more favorable to farm at the lower difficulty with egg boosting leaders. Like, the most recent skill delay resist farming event, it was more stamina efficient to play the higher difficulty, which you couldn't use Varroas for. So it's not to say that Varroa is not a needed card, it's just depending on the type of dungeon release, and also whether or not do you play in co-op or solo. If you play in co-op, you save half stamina right away, and at the same time, Varroa's active or leader skill does not take effect, nor does Dungeon Boost. So if you're someone like myself who has 2 accounts that you can play with and farm and co-op together, Varroa has much less value. But if you're someone who only has 1 account, you never play co-op, Varroa has significantly more value because you can leverage more efficient stamina usage for yourself. So again, comes down to, are you playing solo mode? Do you play these dungeons? Do you want to do so in a more stamina and possibly time efficient manner? And then next is Fasca. And Fasca is, spoiler alert, the best, most universally helpful Great Witch of the 10 to choose. In a vacuum, assuming you have absolutely nothing else whatsoever, I would pick Fasca, because Fasca has such high potential to be as a cleric type card. And when I say cleric, I mean someone who can clear bind, awoken binds, and unable to match orb effects. And Fasca also throws in orb movement time debuffs as well. So she counters all 3 of those aspects on a blisteringly fast 5-turn cooldown. And it's fully removing all binds and awoken binds. It's not just 5 turns like the majority of other cards with 5-turn cooldowns. It's all turns. So she's obviously a tremendously powerful solution against these mechanics, which are basically found in every single dungeon. And the fact that she can be utilized across a wide variety of teams means she has obviously universal appeal. She can function wonderfully well on rainbow-based teams. She can function wonderfully well on mono light, and even mono wood due to her wood sub-attribute and the fact that her active skill is so overtuned. And she has quite desirable stats. She's got quite a thick amount of health, respectable attack stat, along with high personal damage potentially, and okay RCV. But the point of the matter is you have one of the most overtuned active skills possible to counteract mechanics you need to overcome. But In addition to that, she still is able to function as a strong leader because she has a 7x6 board, she boosts the stats for attacker types in a desirable way, and right now, she can asymmetrically pair with Raijin quite efficiently. You get the bigger board, you have enough RCV to counteract Raijin's lack of RCV, you have auto follow-up attack, you have large personal damage. There's no real downsides aside from the fact that 7x6 does have some issues with certain dungeons. But at the same time, depending on what you're playing through, Fasca might just be one of your better leaders as well. Like, I've cleared World of Carnage 1 with Fasca paired with Raijin, so it's definitely doable. So you can have potentially a reasonably endgame-oriented leader, one of the best cleric subs in the game for a wide variety of teams. There's no real true losing with Fasca outside of the fact that she needs 18 turns to transform, and she doesn't really have any truly meaningful awakenings in her base form. So, for myself, I don't own Fasca on Mantastic, and I'm trading for Fasca. There's no one else that will advance my monster box like Fasca can. The next card is Nell, and Nell is also a truly valuable card as well, but only for mono dark teams. And the reason why Nell is valuable is because her amazing 4-turn active skill. Her 4-turn active skill after she transforms creates a column of hearts, a column of dark orbs, so orb generating is always a helpful aspect, but then it provides a single turn of damage absorb counter. Damage absorb counter, pink shields, Fujin style active skill. And this is a type of active skill you basically need to have in every single dungeon outside of World of Carnage 2. But basically every single dungeon that is not World of Carnage 2 needs this type of active skill. And right now, Gung-Ho tends to be favoring the idea of sprinkling in many different damage absorb spawns spaced out across multiple floors. And that is to counteract multi-turn absorb active skills. Like, for instance, base Reeche has 2 turns of damage absorb counter, so it obviously is great if there are back-to-back spawns, but Gung-Ho doesn't want to do that anymore. They want to make our life hard, so they'll put a spawn, say, on floor like 10, and then floor like, say, 15, because there's no way your active will carry over that many floors, and you will have to stall and suffer, potentially. Conversely, with Nell, because it's such a short 4-turn cooldown, you can have it ready on a regular basis, and even if you don't need the damage absorb aspect, the orb generating component is valuable, and the low base cooldown means you can inherit something more high impact as well. So as a whole, there's no real losing with Nell on mono dark teams, outside from the fact that it needs 18 turns to transform while providing no meaningful awakenings in their base form. And if you don't feel like the sub potential is truly great, or you don't have a great mono dark team to use, she can be utilized as a leader. She provides 7x6, and while she only does boost balance type cards, there are quite a few balance type cards that can be taken advantage of. You can asymmetrically pair with like Sakura from Fate, you can pair with Yugi still works. There are multiple asymmetrical pairings to work with Nell, so you could have a strong leader and then eventually one of the most powerful mono dark subs available in the game, because of her blisteringly fast and powerful active skill. And she also provides reasonably strong VDP potential because of her triple VDP awakenings. Next is Remu. And Remu in her base form, it still can be a reasonable leader. She can still clear content. She was one of the earlier and more potent Shura 1 or World of Carnage 1 clearing teams at the time. Now, it's not to say that she's weak by any means, it's just that we have much stronger mono-fire options available, and the fact that she only has personal damage with a VDP is definitely a drawback because she doesn't hit hard unless you have 9 fire orbs. But at the same time, you do counteract spinner orbs, which could be a unique aspect overall, but her weapon assist is quite powerful for mono-fire teams, because her weapon assist provides 2 turns of color absorb void, which you need to have as mono-fire. When you play through Shura 1, or World of Carnage 1, there are multiple floors that can have fire absorb, like Denbola early on will be a problem. So a counter is needed, and it does provide you with 5 orb enhances, which is a significant amount of passive damage. It also provides you with orb generation. You get columns of hearts and columns of fire orbs. So even if you don't use the color orb or color absorb counter aspect, you have orbs to kill something, and it's enough orbs to make a VDP, which is meaningful in itself. With that being said, we just received the Monster Hunter cards, and Monster Hunter, if you did manage to roll the 6-star Rathalos, you have an incredibly powerful weapon assist. His weapon 2 is called Suncore. It provides you with the enhanced fire combo awakening and 2 orb enhances with a shorter base cooldown, so it's ready on a more regular basis that also generates orbs. So I don't own Remu either, and I would have loved to have a Remu for this weapon assist, but I have Rathalos and I can make Suncore, so I don't want to get Remu now because Rathalos can solve this fire or mono fire team's color absorption needs because it provides nearly the same types of awakenings, similar type active skill, and it was kind of quote-unquote easier to acquire by comparison. So it's not to say that Remu is a bad choice, it's just that there are multiple different options available for the niches they can possibly fulfill and plug. Next is Norza, and Norza is still one of the stronger mono water subs in the game and still a reasonably potent leader in her own right. Once she does transform, she has 777 combo, she has VDP, she has a big attack stat, and she also has the L shield, which is another 1.5 times personal damage. So Norza can hit incredibly hard, and her stats are pretty well min-maxed for what her active skill does. She's got great health stat, pretty high health stat, and a very strong attack stat as well. But her active skill is probably what makes her most desirable, because her active skill provides you of 1.5 times orb movement time, 1.5 times RCV, and the ability to generate 3 water and 3 heart orbs on a 2-turn cooldown. I honestly feel like Norza's active skill is one of the most overtuned for transforming cards because it does so much value. Like, it overwrites time buffs, time debuffs, and RCV debuffs. It also can help you hit healing thresholds for Velkhana, for instance, or just heal up to full health on a more regular basis. And the fact that it's a 2-turn cooldown means that 2 Norzas means you can have 100% uptime on this amazing active skill, which is important for her own leadership potential. But the point of the matter is, as a sub, it's doing everything you want. You get orbs for damage, you get orbs for healing, you overwrite 2 dangerous kinds of debuffs, and improve your own usability overall. So, amazing sub overall. Just be aware that you need to transform, and you don't have a really great transforming aspect. Like, your awakenings are lackluster pre-transform. As a leader, you do feature, obviously, too much recovery and tiny bit of damage reduction bonus combos, and a nice attack multiplier. So you have very little effective health, which is problematic, but this low effective health can be greatly offset by the fact that you can asymmetrically pair with, like, say, Velkhana, Gung-Ho Yomi, or Blades, depending on what your team composition or monster box has available. With Velkhana, you're obviously much bulkier, and at the same time, you solve Velkhana's need to always heal enough through his leader skill, because you can heal up massive amounts of health with relative ease as Norza with a leader, and the fact that you can have multiple Norzas using active skills every turn means that Velkhana will always hit his extra damage reduction component. Gung-Ho Yomi is auto follow-up attack, one of this easier AA4 farming teams, which I used in the distant past. And Blades, pairing with Blades, gives you another active skill on a 2-turn cooldown. Can you answer this? Might be something important. On a 2-turn cooldown, which means you don't have to own a duplicate Norza in order to have her active skill clause filled for a leader skill, because her leader skill needs you to use an active skill every single turn. So with Blades, you use it on, say, odd number turns, Norza on even number turns, you have a happy time overall. So as a whole, Norza is a tremendously powerful mono water card. She can function as a great leader, she can function as a wonderful sub. There's not too much downsides outside of the fact that, well, she obviously only works for water teams, and she has an underwhelming pre-transform state. So I do like Norza, and the only drawback of Norza, perhaps another one, is you technically need 2 Norzas to truly shine, so to speak, because you want to be able to abuse their active skill over and over again every single turn. With that being said, let's say you did have every single Great Witch already and you have only 1 Norza. Norza is a great choice for a duplicate for the reason of being able to abuse her active skill. And then lastly, we come to Aljae, who's the final Great Witch available through this special exchange process. So Aljae can function as a strong solution for mono wood and rainbow teams against void spawns. Because against void spawns, her active skill lets you damage void for a single turn, which means all cards on your team deal their full damage without actually having to match that 3x3 box or utilize rainbow latents, etc. Rainbow void or VDP latents. Point of the matter is, you can overcome void spawns with relative ease. And you might think, wow, this is definitely meaningful and helpful, but I feel like she is still kind of outpaced. She's still strong, but she's not the best at her particular niche, I feel. Because for voids, I said Jurand and Albert are just stellar options. Even Susanoo, who is probably going to be utilized will be a great solution. Like Durand with Susanoo is enough void for most content, I would say, overall. So the need for Aljae does go down there. And the fact that Aljae does not have a beneficial pre-transform state does hinder, because you're basically saying, if I use Aljae, I'm going to struggle to transform. So, like, let's use Mono Wood as an example. New Year's Artemis / Nadeko teams. You're probably going to want to use, like, you may want to use Fasca, who needs to transform. She doesn't have skill boost either. And if you have Fasca and Aljae on a team, it's going to be terribly hard to transform your Nadekos. So if I had to choose between those two, I would put Fasca on the team over Aljae and just utilize Durand and Susanoo for my void solutions. So it's not to say that she can't function. I used Aljae on my Mono Wood teams because I really had no options. And before Durand came out, I don't think I really had many good choices otherwise. So Aljae definitely can fulfill that role as well. But if you did farm Durand, who is farmable, you have a great solution. Susanoo is a Pantheon card, kind of easier to find. I feel like Aljae does get pushed out. She does provide an L, she does provide tape resist, she does have quad 7 combos, so she does provide reasonable personal damage, but I feel like it's just not enough to outpace the other void solutions. And then for rainbow teams, similar problem. Like, you have the issue of many rainbow teams probably have the VDP latent already, which might be enough for your needs, to be honest. And Aljae doesn't help other cards transform. And if other cards need to transform, Aljae's not contributing. It may be difficult to incorporate her into a given team. As a leader, she is definitely a strong leader overall. She has a comically large amount of auto follow-up attack. The main drawback is you have to remember to actually match a Wood L every single turn, because I will forget, and I do forget on a regular basis. And without that L, you basically go splat because you have almost no effective health. So, in conclusion, this Great Witch Metal Exchange event is a tremendously exciting time because it enables all players to choose the best 7-star Godfest exclusive for their individual monster box. And as a general blanket statement, acquiring a brand new card tends to be superior to acquiring a duplicate. With the exception of you have every card already, a duplicate Norza is probably the best choice, I feel, due to the fact that you want to abuse the 2-turn cooldown. But at the same time, if you are missing multiple cards and one of those cards you are missing is Fasca, Fasca will probably be the best choice overall because she has the most possible uses. She can be utilized on rainbow teams, mono light, mono wood. Not many cards have this much coverage, and in regards to what she does, she's one of the best at her niche. So there's not too much real losing with Fasca. She can even function as a strong leader. I've used Fasca plus Raijin to clear World of Carnage 1, and most people have Raijin as well due to the 6-star Godfest exclusive event trade we had as well. So the point of the matter is Fasca can help you clear difficult content, and then she becomes an outstanding sub, and then in the future, if she somehow gets outpaced as a sub, a wonderfully strong weapon assist. So with that being said, the decision of what you do pick obviously still comes down to what your individual monster box needs, and my opinions do obviously have some sort of bias because it's what I think is most valuable, and possibly whatever cards I've utilized more or less tends to have a certain degree of bias. So with that being said, let me know what you plan to trade for down in the comments below. Is there a certain card you've been hungering for a long period of time? And will it be filling a specific or plugging a specific hole within your given monster box? Either way, hopefully you all have a fantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.